Kick 1 million shows live May 11, 2023. I'm Dwayne.
Sean P.
And it is the second round of the NBA playoffs.
Yes,
And
sir.
the Celtics come back and beat the 76ers with Jason Tatum heroics. He has 4 threes in the last minute of the game after going, I think, 0 for 10 in the first half and barely scoring anything in the second half. The 76ers basically fumbled the bag right there, whereas they could have ended the season of the Boston Celtics, who was the number 2 seed. Now, Sean, you're a 76ers fan. You're from Philly. I mean, what do you think about Philly going back to Boston after they did win in Boston? And you've seen how, Boston was so lackadaisical at home. How do you think they're going to come out in Boston for Game 7?
They're not. They're gonna come out. They're not gonna come out like they did in game 7. They're not gonna do that. I believe that. Yeah, I'm a fan and everything, but I just believe. I know they have won on in Boston before, but I just don't see it. Game 7 and rhythm goes over to the next game. You saw Tatum catch his rhythm. He was like, I told you, as soon as he hit them 2 threes, I'm like, oh man. I was like, okay. So I mean, I could very well be wrong, but I got Boston winning a tight one at home.
I'm going to pick Philly.
Okay.
I think Joel Embiid has to establish himself as the best player in the league. Last hour we talked about legacy.
Yeah.
And the legacy of Joel Embiid is, when it comes to his injuries, when it comes to how he came into the league, what was that coined term?
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
I hated that. I hated
right?
that.
Now, Joel Embiid, they've trusted the process. He's called himself, it was his nickname, the process. And I kind of like that now, the process, that's a perm. So, it's 2023, we're not permanent, we're not doing perms anymore. Yeah. So, the thing is, he has to transcend that process to a championship when it comes to, I mean, when his last time service won in the 80s? I mean, 81.
No, 83.
83, excuse me. Right. With Dr. J and all of those guys, mostly Malone and them. And for someone like Joel Embiid, to basically the last time the 76ers had an MVP player was Allen Iverson. And that was when they went to the finals. You kind of want to get there and being the best player in the league, making it to the finals. You have to win this Game 7 in Boston. And I think that urgency is going to set in. My problem is with this series is the urgency and lack thereof of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Now, they both just made NBA's all-NBA team.
Yes.
Jason Tatum first. And Jaylen Brown is the third on the third list of NBA's all-NBA team. These are the top 15 players in the league. That gives them the Supermax deal. If the team wants to re-up their contract, right? They're eligible for the Supermax. These top 15 players are eligible for the Supermax deal.
Yes.
So what does the Celtics do with, 2 star players that they have, and would their play in these playoffs dictate what you do with Tatum or Jaylen Brown. Sean,
Oh, sorry.
what do you think?
Oh,
Uh-oh. It
sorry
may look better with the
sorry about that.
lights off.
YouTube, Instagram,
It may look better with the lights off.
motion detectors. You said what do we do? They could possibly try to sign both of them, but if they had to take one, I would take Tatum. I'll take Tatum over Jaylen Brown, and picture Jaylen Brown out there. They put him out there before, and now see what they can get, and then build around Tatum.
Yeah, I think so. I think you would have to trade Jaylen Brown, see what you get. There's been rumors about Jaylen Brown to the Knicks, Jaylen Brown to Golden State, but the thing is, you got to pay him a supermax.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be an allocated slot for a supermax contract. I think all teams have been allocated 2 supermax slots. So there's rumors, people talking about Jaylen Brown to the Warriors for Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins. Jaylen Brown for to the Knicks for Julius Randle. My thing could be, me personally, I would say Jaylen Brown to Portland for Damian Lillard. Because basically Boston needs to get something back comparable. Those players are not comparable. Now, granted, I think Julius Randle is the third team All NBA.
Okay.
So he is comparable. Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins is not.
All right.
Damian Lillard is. He's an All NBA player.
Yes, he is.
So you trade 2 All NBA players right there. I think you have to do that. You have to look at that, because to trade a max player, I would want a max player back. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
I need a max player back, and if
course.
not just that, a all-star with draft picks compensation. So when it comes to what happens with this team afterwards, because if they lose at home, Game 7, where you know the history of the Boston Celtics, Game 7s. I mean, yeah, they lose to the Lakers a few times and all of that, but you got 17 championships and all of that. This is where they need to be as far as Boston's concerned. They need to win a Game 7 at home. Those ghosts, quote unquote, have to come through for them. Now, moving on, we have the Suns down. Let me see. 60-43, Denver over the Suns right now. The series is 3-2, Denver. Denver wins, they move on to the Western Conference Finals. What does the Suns do if they lose this game?
What they do is they bring Chris Paul in, see what he's trying to do. He's trying to retire. I say let Chris Paul get one more year, get one more year out of him, and they start looking for. Well, they already got a backup point guard, but I would like to see them try to grab a combo guard, like a Jamal Murray type combo guard. They can play the 1 and the 2, and play some decent defense, and see what's up with that. But they definitely going, cause they got KD and Book. They might shop around DeAndre Ayton, shop him around, see if they can get that combo guard.
Yeah, I think you trade DeAndre Ayton first and foremost. You got to get him out of here. He's out with a rib injury, rib contusion, and people are really upset about that. Fans and writers and whatnot of the Phoenix Suns are very upset about him not playing this game. This is an extremely important game for the Suns. Now they have a brand new owner who has been very acquainted with Nikola Jokic in the past couple games, but he's been very vocal, very about changing this franchise into a championship contender. You bring in Kevin Durant, regarded as one of the best players in the history of the NBA. You know, you have Devin Booker there, possibly the best two guard in the league, especially how he's playing in the playoffs this season. They just went to the NBA Finals. You have a great coach in Monty Williams. And it's only supposed to be up from here, right? But it's always an issue with the Suns. Always an issue, especially in the playoffs. We've seen back with the Steve Nash days, they couldn't get past the Lakers or San Antonio. You know, we've seen before that, you know, they couldn't get back with, they couldn't beat the Bulls. You know, so you know, I think with the Suns owner being a basketball player, he played for Michigan State when they won, you know, the championships in the 2000s.
Talking about Mateed Cleaves.
Right, back in the day. The Flintstones, remember the Flintstones? That's what they were called.
They called the Flintstones?
Yeah, because they all had Flint. They was all from Flint, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
They had Flint tattooed on their arms, those players. He was one of those players, not a Flintstone, obviously, but he was one of those players that was on that team.
Was Mo Peterson on that team?
Yes, Morris Peterson, Mateen Cleaves, yeah, they was on that team. So he knows what it takes to win. You know, he knows what it takes to win a championship. He knows the players that's needed. So he's going to do whatever it takes after this season.
I need to look him up to see how he got his money.
Right. I think it was in it was either in tech or real estate.
Okay, because
I think it was in real estate.
That was only 23. That was
only
23 years ago.
It was. Matter of fact, it was because here's what's crazy. When he was approved of the team, the only team that disapproved was the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers is his realtor rival.
Oh, okay.
That's the owner of the Cavaliers owns. I forget. I think was it Remax or one of those. He's there. He's actually there. That their number one rival. So he was like, no, I don't want him no parts in the NBA.
Okay.
But he was the only owner that disagreed with it. So obviously that's why he got it. But yeah, he's a big time real estate mogul.
Interesting.
Yeah. With that being said, we got to go to break. We're gonna come right back and talk NFL schedules. Some big schedules going on. So a lot of big games. Want to see what games are you guys gonna go to? I'm definitely gonna go to one of these games coming up. So we're gonna talk about that and more. So keep locked right here. Keep 1 Million Show.
Interesting.
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug,
That's
Steven.
interesting.
What are you doing?
Interesting because that was only 23 years ago. Because they won that championship like in 2000.
Yeah, I mean obviously he didn't make the league.
No, I'm not worried about that. What I'm saying is, I think that's why I want to look it up because I'm always interested in how people make them. Because I'm not saying that I'm gonna be a millionaire or anything, but
these motherfuckers up 30 on them.
You know,
Jesus Christ.
Ain't nothing wrong with copying as long as you copy the right cat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he made his fortune in 20 something years.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. So I know he ain't had that when he
look
was.
it up because that's what the story I found it when it happened. I was reading, I think it was on ESPN or one of them sites, and it was like the only team that disapproved the sale was Cleveland because that was his competitor in their industry, the real estate industry. That dude's a real you know, he's one of the top real moguls. I mean, he's not fucking Jimmy Buffett, not Jimmy, but you know, he's not Berkshire Hathaway, but he's up there. I mean, shit, he's a billionaire. And you hear the music. It's Keep 1 Million Show. I'm Dwayne.
Sean Pig.
And we're talking NFL
Yes, sir.
schedule.
Hold on. Can I bring this one up first?
Go ahead.
Because it's interesting. The Eagles play the Patriots at Foxborough on Tom Brady Day. It's gonna be Tom Brady Day.
You know why? Wasn't that his first championship against the Eagles?
No. No, the first game against the
Oh,
Rams.
against the Rams. You're right.
Against the Rams.
Right.
No, but they
It was one of them. But it was one of the ones he lost too. He did lose to the Eagles. As well.
He lost, but he beat us. He beat us in the McNabb years. He beat us. That was his third one. But he beat the Rams and he beat the Panthers. Then he beat us. That was the third one. So that's the first game and first game of the season for the Eagles and the Patriots, and it's gonna be Tom Brady Day, and I believe they're gonna retire his jersey that day.
Yeah, they most likely will.
Mm-hmm.
I just gotta put this up here. The Suns are getting drugged by 30 right now against Denver in the first half. It's 81-51 at halftime. Denver put up 81 points at the half.
That's about how much the Sixers Celtics were.
81 points. That is the largest halftime lead in franchise in Nuggets history. 81 points. I mean, we just talked about this before the break. What does the owner need to do? And another thing I'm just thinking about right now is this is what the 76ers should have did to the Celtics if you have Jason Tatum not scoring. You had to go at them like how Denver's going at the Suns right now without a big down low.
That was not what I was telling you before we came on the air. I was like, Embiid needs to dominate. Just like with Joker's doing it. You dominate. You destroy them. You don't let them have hope. Like, come on. And it's like they didn't want it. It's like come on.
And to be honest with you, I kind of feel sorry for the Suns. I thought the Suns would at least try to make it a game.
Yeah, I thought
but just like what happened last season is happening this season. There's off the court issues that's coming on the court. And it's something about this DeAndre Ayton situation that's really making me think like he just quit. For some reason, either he doesn't like the coach, he doesn't like Devin Booker. I mean, there was arguing in a game before, a couple of games.
I know Chris Paul dug into him a few times.
Chris Paul has dug into him. Maybe he's an extra sensitive guy. I don't know what it is. But it seems to me, every time there's an issue with DeAndre Ayton, they lose heavy. They lose huge because it's like their emotions, like it's just draining. It drains them or something. I mean, look at when they lost last season.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of the same thing. He got into it. Monty Williams heavy that whole series. And then when they lose, it was like all on DeAndre Ayton. And that's why everyone thought DeAndre Ayton was going to go. And then once Indiana, got his rights and they matched the deal, everybody thought that was a bad move. It was like, why would you do that when you have issues with him live in the playoffs? And we've seen it live right now in these playoffs. That's the first time I've seen Devin Booker actually yelling at somebody. He's usually quiet, he's usually kind of locked in, focused. He was like just yelling at him, like, telling him what to do. You need to be doing this. You need to be here, and you know what I mean. And it was like, wow, it's really boiling over. And now since he decided not to play, a rib contusion, quote unquote. I think. Go ahead.
I'm about to say I wouldn't be surprised if they traded him during the offseason.
Oh, they got it. You have to trade him after this.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting drugged by 30. You know what I mean? And if you see it, I know you guys are watching the game, they're going all inside. They're dumping the ball inside the Jokic. They're driving the basket. I mean, it's pick and roll. It's us all downhill, and they're making all their shots. So, we're going to come back to that. It's at halftime right now. Denver's up 30 points against the Suns. Now, going to what we're going to talk about this segment, the NFL schedule, and this has now become a huge thing. Like we know, the NFL is year round, right? You have the Super Bowl, you have the Combine, you have free agency, you have the draft, and now you sprinkle in the schedule where you have, you know, these teams' social media departments going all in on Twitter. They're making these huge elaborate videos with their schedule and whatnot. It's a great thing, you know. It's very interesting. You know, puts everyone talking about the NFL as usual. I'm just going around and talk about some of these games. The first game is the Chiefs versus the Lions at Arrowhead, September 7th. That's that Thursday night opener. You know, when
What's
they
crazy
give them
about
the
that?
rings and you know, do the whole ring ceremony.
Giving out the rings and the Lions, they don't they let DeAndre Swift go. He plays for the Eagles now. Like that's crazy. That's a Thursday night game, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they probably gonna give out their rings.
That's you know, ring ceremony. Like we know this happens every year now. I'm surprised that the Lions are getting this actual game because it's one of the first times. I think the Lions have a few primetime games.
Well, they had a good season last year.
Right, they did. You know, I would say the Chiefs are going to have 6 primetime games, including a rematch against the Eagles.
Yeah, they deserve
Monday
that.
night, Week 11 at Arrowhead.
That's going to be that, yeah.
Chiefs and the Bengals will play their rematch, you know, AFC Championship game. That's at New Year's Eve as well.
Oh, so New Year's Eve on the Sunday? Okay.
Right. NFC Championship game, Niners, they're going to play the Eagles Week 13.
That's a big game.
Yes. And the Jets are going to play the Bills Monday night game. The Bills also play the Chiefs Week 4.
Yeah, this NFL schedule stuff. It's actually big because I know I got a couple friends. They have schedule parties when the schedule comes out. They have get-togethers and they look at it's actually Pittsburgh fans. They look at the schedule and they predict what the record's going to be.
Right.
It's actually a big thing. And the social media thing now, I never thought when social media was coming on, like back in the Black Planet days and all that, I never thought that it would be this big when people would have jobs paying them like $50,000-$60,000 a year, like $65,000 a year to control the social media and everything.
Oh, it's more than that.
Oh no, I'm just throwing
It's
numbers
about
out there.
6 figures
Yeah,
right now.
to control the social media, do the videos and stuff like that. It's crazy. You actually can get, I believe, at least an associate degree, maybe even a bachelor's in like social media and graphic design and stuff like that. So that's something that young people can look at. You know what I'm saying? And teams take advantage of. And I'm all about it.
That's true.
I'm all about it.
That's true. Christmas Day games, you have the Giants versus Eagles.
That's a big one. Division rival.
Right. And Cincinnati is facing off against the Chiefs. And then Carolina Panthers are facing Houston, which is Bryce Young versus C.J. Stroud.
Okay.
You have 5 international games. Jacksonville will play 2 games in England. And then you have also 2 games in Germany as well.
Okay.
I think that's actually the Chiefs versus the Dolphins are one of the games in Germany where you have Tyreek Hill going against his old team. Remember all that smack he was talking.
Yeah.
He wanted to play against them, you know, in the Chiefs, but it's going to be in Germany this time.
Germany. So nothing. It's just Germany and London. No Mexico City. Nothing like
No,
that.
just Germany and London.
Okay.
This
Yo, the
year.
NFL is really taking advantage of this international money, man.
Yeah.
It's been talks about having an international team. Just talks.
Well, you have Jacksonville's always been talked about. Now they're going to be the first team ever to have 2 games in a row in another country.
Oh, it's gonna be 2 Sundays in a row.
Yeah, they're going to have I think it's week 4 and week 5.
Oh, so they're gonna stay out
They're
there.
going to stay
Okay.
out there.
All right.
I think it's one London Stadium, then the other is a Tottenham.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be
something like that.
Wembley, something like that.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yo, you know what? That's gonna be dope. Cause I was stationed in England for a while. That's gonna be dope. That's gonna be dope for them, especially with the coordinate. King Charles already got coordinated. He's gonna be trying to do some groovy things out there, man.
yeah. Other games, Patriots versus the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a big game. Like you said, that's the Tom Brady game. You know, they're gonna have Tom Brady there for celebration of him and probably retire his number
Yeah.
and whatnot. Another game is obviously Giants versus Cowboys. You know, they're the first game. That that's mandatory. That's a mandatory game right there. Giants Cowboys. Week 16, Bills versus the Chargers. That's going to be a great game, possibly for playoff implications right there. Possibly for a top seed in the AFC. If the Chargers, do what they're supposed to do, and then you got Week 16 and Week 18 is Giants versus the Eagles. So they're going to play this kind of weird because usually it's the division team plays early in the season and plays late in the season.
Yeah.
So this is back to back.
Mm.
You know what I mean? That's going to be very, very interesting because how the division plays out. Last season the Eagles were the best team in the division. Cowboys and the Giants didn't also make the playoffs. NFC East right now, I would say statistically and is the best division in football.
They beat up on each other.
Right, and to put it like that, to be 2 back-to-back games against 2, the NFC East teams, going to be very interesting because that's possibly going to decide the NFC East. You know what I mean? Either clinching the division, or clinching a playoff berth, or clinching number 1 or number 2 seed or whatnot. You also have the Buffalo Bills versus the Dolphins, Week 18.
Mm-hmm.
This has been for the past 3 seasons. Teams either clinched or lost a playoff berth in Week 17 and Week 18. Either with these teams. So one game I'm definitely going to go to is the Giants are going to be here versus the Cardinals. Week
okay.
2.
Oh, go do it, man.
Week 2.
So let me know when you come out there. I'm gonna go to the game. I'll meet you out there, man. Knock
Yeah.
back a couple. It was Westgate.
Exactly. I'm at least be in the vicinity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Oh, you're not gonna go to the game?
Oh, I'm going, but I'm
Okay.
saying if I'm not able to, I'm at least gonna be in the vicinity.
It's a little spot I go to that's in Westgate, a little watering hole.
Okay.
If you don't go to the game, you can watch the game there. You're like,
Right. So what games are you looking for?
Eagles, Kansas City. See what's up with that. Looking forward to the international games. I'm looking to see how those. I know how they're going to do. I'm just curious how the numbers are going to be. How big the numbers are going to be. For you said it's 2 in Germany and 2 in London, right?
Yep.
I'm looking forward to those 4 games. What else? I'm looking forward to see. I really want to see what Cincinnati, and Kansas City. I'm interested in that. Now, as for divisional games outside of the NFC East, I'm always interested in Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Those games always interest me because they always low scoring games, be like 13-9.
Well, it may not be low scoring game anymore because you have Odell Beckham Jr. over there.
Oh yeah.
You have some wide receivers over there with Baltimore. You do have some players over there at the Steelers as well. It will be interesting about the Steelers quarterback. How he does.
Jimmy Pickett.
Yes, Jimmy Pickett.
If that run game is strong,
they do have some wide receivers there as well. So it's gonna be very interesting. That matchup, is it going to be a defensive game or is it going to be an offensive game? I would think that would be the difference. Maybe it end up being a high scoring game because they want to chuck it out, especially with Pickett wanting to prove himself against Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has to prove himself to make sure he's worth every penny of that contract. Right, and he got what he wanted with wide receivers. So really, the AFC North is always interesting. They're another division that beats each other up, just like the AFC West and NFC East. These are the three divisions that are very interesting because of not just playoff implications, but divisionally those rivalries, right? Yeah. Those rivalries are so intense, especially in the AFC North when you have, Cleveland, Cincinnati being a top tier team now, Baltimore, and also Pittsburgh. Those legacy teams, those blue bloods. You know what I mean? So. It's going to be very interesting season coming up. Basically, everybody go look at the schedule, see what your team, who they're playing against, how tough the schedule is, and pick wins and losses to see how good your team is against what you think your team's going to do. With that being said, we're going to come right back with more Keep 1 Million Show.
Yes, sir.
All right, back Keep 1 Million Show. I'm Dwayne.
Sean B.
And we were just talking about the NFL schedule, but going back to the NBA playoffs is a 30-point route right now. Denver up on Phoenix here in Phoenix at Footprint Center, and they just started the third quarter. It's still 81-51. They look both teams look kind of sloppy right now. But do you think the Suns can come back and at least chip away at this lead?
Not the way it's going. Not the way it's going.
Right.
Denver is doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, they are. I mean, if you see, they're cutting into the lane, getting to the basket, getting offensive boards, getting those putbacks, and they don't have an interior. They don't have a shot blocker. DeAndre Ayton's not there. He's quote unquote injured with a
Mm-hmm.
rib contusion.
Rib contusion.
That's what he said. He got a little, right? You know what I mean? So, and you know what? That's an injury I have never heard of. I mean, yeah, it could possibly happen. You injure your rib, but
Take
actually,
a good elbow or knee to
right?
the rib.
But
yeah.
actually being out because of that, I've never heard no one ever be. I heard of a broken rib. I've heard of torn rib cartilage and whatnot, but a rib contusion. That means you have a bruise. It's not even a bone bruise. It's just okay, you hurt your ribs. Like,
Somebody told me once. They said, "Can you still run and shoot?" He said, "Yeah, well, go on out there and play."
Right.
like, shoot, what?
now we know this is not, those years back in the day where they say put some dirt on it and go in and whatnot. But at the same time, this is the NBA playoffs. This is your legacy on the line. This is for going for a championship, and people may not say this. People, call him soft or weak. But I think Jokic put it on him.
Yeah,
I think Jokic scared him. I think if you look at the highlights and you look at these games that they're playing, I think Jokic is so much for him that I don't think he wanted to play anymore, and that's a huge, like a horrible look for
yeah.
a player who is a first round pick.
Yep.
Now he did not get his max deal though. He did not get his rib. He got it. He got a contract, but not a contract like everybody else did that came out when he came out, and that's because of his play. And this is kind of makes it even worse because you did get that 5th-year option, right? You got picked up mainly because of Indiana was going to pick you up and the Suns matched it. So that was kind of, tongue in cheek.
Mm-hmm.
But then, not to appreciate that and to kind of play just as bad, if not worse, this season, I mean, it's kind of like you're looking to leave the Suns. It seems like he wants to not be there. I mean, what do you think? Does it look like he I mean, if you look at the highlights, it's like, wow, what are you doing? You're not going for the boards. You're just standing around.
It's a lot to be said. This is an elimination game, and you're not playing. And when some people might deem your injury, I don't like, because I never played at the professional level or anything like that. I don't want to try to disrespect the man, but I do know I play sports, of course not at that level, but it shows a lot when this is an elimination game where you didn't play your best, but they still need you, and you're like nah, when it's nothing crazy, it's something that you could probably put, wrap like something around you, and just get out there and ball, but
Right. No, that's true, because if you look at the Lakers series, and it's going back Game 6 to LA, you have Anthony Davis, who was hit in the head. He could have had a concussion. It was ruled that he's not, and he's going to play. It looks like Andrew Wiggins is questionable with a rib injury for Game 6. I mean, injuries is a part of the game. Everyone's injured when it comes to this point, as you see what happened with Milwaukee, and you see what happened with other teams with their injuries. But, an elimination game, I don't think your top players are going to bow out because of an injury. I think they're going to play through it, as you see with Anthony Davis. I think if this was a regular season, Anthony Davis is not playing.
Yeah.
He's not going to play a back-to-back. He's not going. He's not going to play. He gets hit. He's going to go to further tests. And if it's not a concussion, he's still not going to play that next game.
Yeah, especially with the concussion, they probably just tell him, "Hey, go ahead, stay home, rest up, come back,
Right.
play another game." This
But
is playoffs, dog.
this is the playoffs, and this is an elimination game.
Mhm.
They beat Golden State. They move on to the Western Conference Finals. He is their best player, so he is going to play. DeAndre is not their best player, obviously, but he's an integral part of the team. He is a starter. He is their starting center. For him to not play is very telling. It's extremely telling because, you know, I don't want to call him the Q word, if you know what the Q word is, but it's kind of looking that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm not sure who you trade for him.
Oh, somebody will. So you can't coach 7 feet. Like
That's true.
somebody will. I mean, well, what are they going to get for him? Is the thing. It's the same thing with Ben Simmons when the Sixers were trying to do that. You know, they waited too late. You don't want to wait too late.
Mhm.
They Sixers waited too late for that. They should have did that seasons ago. But so it's because of this playoff performance. It like people like your stock goes down, and
Right.
you almost got to take what they offer you almost.
You're right. That's true. And I really think they could have made a trade with Indiana and got something back. You know what I mean? They do have some good players over there. But now they, who knows what they do? I think their owner is really adamant about winning, like I talked about earlier, and he's gonna make a bold move. I really think he's gonna make a very bold move. Not sure about Chris Paul. That's gonna be another big thing with the Suns. What do you do with Chris Paul? He's been injured as well, and as you know, his career, his playoff career, he's been more injured than playing in the playoffs, especially when you have a lot of his teams being a top team that can possibly make it to the finals. With Houston, with the Clippers, also with the Suns, I think there's a lot to be said with that, with Ayton and Chris Paul, what you do with those two players moving forward.
Like I said earlier, Chris Paul. No, just play out this next year. See what you can get for him. I mean, not get for him. See what he can do for you, and everything. And then after that, you just because you know what he's playing for. He's playing for that ring, man. He's really trying to get this ring because he knows what's going to be said about him. I mean, a few seasons ago, you heard what Rondo was saying about him. Like saying he wasn't that great because he didn't have. If he was, he would have a ring. Which I believe that Chris Paul got screwed years ago with that Lakers when he was in New Orleans. They were trying to do the deal with the Lakers. I believe the league screwed him. God rest the dead, but David Stern, he really screwed over Chris Paul with that one. Because Chris Paul would have got at least one with Kobe,
Right.
possibly two.
Now, moving on before we go to boxing, Canelo Alvarez wins his fight in Mexico.
Oh, okay, all right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He beats John Ryder.
Mm-hmm.
He's at the top of 168.
Okay.
Now, he said in an interview right before the fight
Mm-hmm.
that when it comes to who's the face of boxing, he said, well, I'm not retired yet. He's saying that he's the face of boxing and that Tank Davis needs more major fights in a row to become the face of boxing. He even said that he likes these young fighters right now and where they're going. They just need more fights.
Mm-hmm.
I think here's the problem. Canelo Alvarez and other top fighters aren't giving these young fighters the fights, right? You can't say that and not be part of the solution when you're actually part of the problem. So fighting a no-name guy that a lot of people that hasn't even heard of. We don't know if that was a tune-up fight for somebody else, or was it just okay? I'm coming home. I haven't fought Mexico in over 10 years. Let me give them what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Maybe it was that.
Mhm.
But when you say, "Oh, I'm still the face of boxing. I'm not retired. Hold, pump the brakes." But if you look at his past fights, who has he fought? Answer the question. I mean, really. I mean, what do you think? Who has he fought?
He lost. Did he lose?
Lost to Bivol.
Yeah, he lost.
Right. I mean, the last two fights he's won. But at the same time, there wasn't Jamel Charlo. It wasn't a Spence. It wasn't a top fighter in that realm.
Spence is too small for.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, that caliber of fighter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not Benavidez, obviously.
Mm-hmm. That's who you need to fight next, right there.
Right. David Benavidez right now is the interim WBC super middleweight champion. Canelo Alvarez, he does, holds, all the belts at 168, but as you know, how these weight classes go, they always allocate belts to other fighters for some odd reason. At 160, Jamelo Charlo, he's the WBC champion.
Mm-hmm.
The other two belts are vacant. So maybe Charlo goes up to 168. Maybe Canelo goes down. I mean,
no, Canelo will make him come up. He's not gonna meet him at a catchweight. He was like, no, you gotta come up, and then they will do that. But Canelo will come in bigger and stronger because he's weighing in at 168, but he probably hydrate back up to 175. Charlo will come up to 168, but he's a natural 160 actually. So. Canelo will be bigger and stronger. I'm not saying Canelo will beat him or anything like that. I'm just saying he'll just be the bigger,
and
stronger
they're not
fighter.
going to go up to 175 or a cruiserweight. So outside of the question, he lost at light heavyweight to Bivol. If you go lower, you got Crawford, Spence at 147. You got Haney at 135. You got Josh Taylor at 140.
Yeah. Yeah, Shakur Stevenson, he's 130, right? 130?
Yeah. Shakur Stevens and Tank Davis is right there, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have these fighters, and like I've said, also, I kind of agree with Alvarez, the fact that we need to see more top fights. I'm tired of seeing these promoters, hanging these fights up, and holding these fighters to, okay, you're undefeated, we're going to keep you undefeated, but you're fighting against nobodies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Are we ever going to see Earl Spence and Bud Crawford? I mean, is it going to be like the Mayweather Pacquiao, where it's 5 years too late, and we're not talking about them as the top fighters in the
nobody's gonna want to see that fight.
No.
And what was it, 2023? Nobody's gonna want to see that fight in 2030. So I won't want to because both of them are what? How old are both? Are they in their 30s?
I think so. Late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
So as far as young fighters concerned, I would think, you got Tank Davis. You got Shakur Stevens. You got Lomachenko.
Mm-hmm.
You have Devin Haney.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got to see these fights. These are the fights we need to see.
Lomachenko and Haney is happening. That's happening.
Yeah. Oh, of course. We're definitely gonna watch that fight, and talk about that here on Keep 1 Million Show. But when it comes to Canelo Alvarez, the one fight he has to fight to prove himself right now is David Benavidez. I would think that should be his next fight. What do you think? What could Alvarez?
Canelo?
Do you think his next fight should be Benavidez?
Yeah, that's the next one. That's the
Yeah.
next one. Do that. I would love for him to do it here. Man, I love
Oh,
him
yeah.
to do it here.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's not gonna happen. That's a Vegas fight.
Yeah,
It's not gonna happen.
right.
But I would love him to do it because they had a fight here almost about a year ago. They had it right there at Westgate with Phoenix, with Arizona Coyotes play. They had it right there, and it was a dope event, and it can happen. But I mean that's just something I would like to see.
Right.
But that would be in Vegas. So.
Right. And for them to get those million pay-per-view buys, you got to have the best fighters fight each other. So hopefully, Canelo Alvarez saying what he said kind of stirs the pot and gets these fighters waking up. So, but with that being said, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks everybody for watching on Instagram and on YouTube. We appreciate you guys. We're gonna come back next week. More NBA playoffs, more NFL talk, and everything in between in the sports world. So keep it locked right here. It's the Keep 1 Million Show.
So.
Broadcasting from the Phoenix Center for the Arts, you're tuned to K.